before we go to the launch site, which is more affectionately known as Cape Knievel, we thought we'd stop by the shop and see where the rocket was built. Okay, Scott, I noticed all this angle iron. What is this?
Well, it's not scrap metal. No, this is a section of the ramp that we built. I had a drawing for how the original ramp was constructed, and it had a weld schedule called out for a continuous weld. And both my engineer looked at this and said, continuous long welds usually produce warped material. So we had them build it just like the drawing called for, and it turned out warped. Luckily, we only built a 20-foot section. Then they said, and we said, how would you do it? And they said, we'd build it this way. So we built this one, and it turned out perfect. Not a couple weeks later, a guy in town said, hey, I know a guy that has the original ramp, a piece of the original ramp. And he had a 20-foot, this right here is a 20-foot section of the original ramp. The only piece that was left over, and son of a gun, you'll notice the welds are not continuous.
Just like they did.
We could have built it like this, but actually this is a lot better and cheaper anyway, so.
So, that should be like in a museum somewhere, shouldn't it?
It's going to be. My friend Latham McKay spent years collecting all of Evel Knievel's various memorabilia, his jump leathers, his helmets, any significant piece of Evel Knievel memorabilia he's collected and has put in a museum.
Where's that at? Because I want to go.
It's in Topeka, Kansas. But yeah, it's actually going to go in the museum, and he's asked me to help build an interactive Sky Cycle exhibit that teaches kids about science. It's with the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math, and we'll get to teach kids about rockets through our cool project.
Can you tell me about the van? You can't have a rocket without a van? Is that a rule of some type, or?
Well, you could, but how would you launch it? This is actually our mobile command center. It's got all of the cameras, computers, everything we need to measure the temperature, pressure, and then monitor the rocket. It's got all of our computers in there. It's got a TV screen with cameras. It's also got the launch button. So there's these cords over here, if you want to walk over here. These are actually like trailer cables, and they plug in here and they mount to the rocket. You got vehicle A, launcher, the heater. The heater is actually the boiler that we use to put the steam into the rocket. So all this stuff can be monitored from the van, and all this stuff plugs from the rocket to the van into the computers.
So I just thought about this. The launch button's not going to be in this.
It is. We enable the launch button, and then Eddie can hit it.
Oh, so like in a movie when you see him lift the thing off the switch and then push. This is the lift thing off. And
yeah, if you look in the cockpit there is a button that we will enable when it's ready to go, and then Eddie said, I want to have control over when it launches. He's had a lot of great input because he's been a stuntman for 30 years, and so Knievel was sort of like, don't worry about it. Anytime my dad would bring up some kind of technical thing, he's like, you worry about the rocket, I'll worry about the piloting of it. Eddie has been very hands-on. He's like, I want the parachute handle here, the launch button here, and it's been good input. Because we may know how to build rockets, but we've never done stunts before. So
yeah, and that's quite a learning curve from the bottom of the ramp to the top. Better figure out how to steer it, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. You
have a lot of time to learn.
You want to know what's going on, beforehand, because it's literally life or death. We've tested it. We know what worked and what didn't work with the other one, but it's still all it takes is one minor thing to go wrong. I kind of like Eddie Braun. Got to know him real well, and I don't want to. We like to keep him around for a while.
Maybe make him buy you dinner after you guys jump.
At least.
Okay, Scott. Before we head out to Cape Knievel, what do you say we go talk some more about this rocket?
Wow, that was intense. Wow.